Right, we'll just have a look at some different sorts of connectors, control linkages. We've got these ones here. These three types are the commercially available ones. And of course we've got the normal Z-link ones, which you can make yourself here. Okay, first off, starting off with the commercial ones, the coil type. They're available on the Micron Wings website. So control linkages. Here's the coil type here. And you see you've got the one for the receiver at the top and the control surface at the bottom. And also the standard type linkage here as well. Okay, so I'll just show you these ones and the way they work, and then we'll look at actually making some Z-links and attaching them. Okay, so the coil type are usually quite simple. You just push them on. Now if you've got a piece of carbon anywhere from 0.78 millimeters to 8 or even 0.8 or 0.9 millimeters, they can go on there. They'll be quite firm on a 0.9 millimeter carbon rod, but you may want to add just a little bit of glue on there, some epoxy as well. So with these ones, these are the ones that go on the receiver. You can see they've got the 90-degree angle there, and this part on this side actually just stops it from sliding out the side. So if I can put it on here and just give you a demonstration. There we go. So you can see it goes through there, and this part that's coming up the side here stops it from sliding out that way. And that's the way that they work. Alright, now these ones here, the ones with the U-shape in them, these are normally used on the control surface. I'll just give you a bit of an example here. There we go, you can see it at the top of the screen there. Okay, so there's the connector with the U-shape, and you can see this one here, I've actually squeezed it in a bit, and that's how you make fine adjustments on the control surface. You can make adjustments of course on your transmitter, but this is just a way to make manual adjustments as well. So these ones are usually used on the control surface, but they're also used on the receiver as well. And it all just depends how you want to set it up. Let's have a look at the light stick, and you can see here that these U-shaped connectors are actually being used on the receiver as well. And this is just how they come in the pack. So of course you don't normally use them on the receiver, but it doesn't hurt. Right, so that's the commercially produced ones. Let's have a look at the Z-links. Now these ones are very easy to make. It's just two bends, and of course the first one that you do is this bend here, and then that one there. I'll show you with just a standard piece of wire. This is actually not spring wire that you should be using, just a standard piece of wire. And what you'll do, you need a fine pair of pliers as well. So fine tip pliers, just basically bend it up 90 degrees, and then the other way, bending it back. Okay, and it gives you a shape like that. Of course, with your piano wire, you won't have this bend here. So they're relatively easy to make. Now, attaching them, what I like to do is to actually glue them on first. You can see this one here, I've used a little bit of this glue here. It's called UHU Pour Glue. And it's actually a foam glue, but it's quite good because it's very tacky. And it just holds everything in place. You can see that it's held in place nice and firmly there, while I get the heat shrink on and get it all set up. Okay, so once we put the heat shrink on, just slide the heat shrink up and over there, and just apply some heat to it. I like to use a soldering iron. Some people use an open flame, but you could actually burn your controlled surface doing it that way. The soldering iron is good. It's a heat source and it's nice and safe. Okay, and it just attaches like that. Right, so that's using heat shrink there. There is another way that you can do it, and you can see I've got another example here. Okay, so this one, let's move it up so it's in focus. Okay, this one here, we've got the Z-link there, and you can see it's been glued on firstly, but you can see it's got some twine around it as well. So that's just normal twine string, and you just wrap it around after you put the glue on and tie it off at the end here. So this is two ways you can attach your Z-links. One other thing I'd just like to show you is there's a bit of a difference here. You see this one here, the carbon pushrod comes right up to the end, and on this one here I've actually stepped it back quite a bit, more than a centimetre from the end. So of course, if you have it right up to the end, I'll just put this one on here, you can see that using the twine, it makes it quite thick around the carbon rod here, especially if you're using 0.9mm carbon rods. Now as it's moving backwards, it can actually fail on the surface of the servo there. So if I just take that one out and I put this one in, that's got the longer shaft and the carbon rod further back. Okay, you can see with this one, the carbon rod starts all the way back here, and I've left at least 6mm here, so when the actuator moves up to the top here, the carbon rod doesn't actually reach the back of the housing there. So that can just prevent it from fouling. Okay, so that's just a couple of examples of control linkages. We've got the ones you can make yourself. Very easy to make Z-links yourself. If you are making them yourself, of course we've got wire on the Micron Wings website. If you go to the building materials section, okay, the best wire to use is 0.3mm diameter or 0.5mm diameter. Okay, and we've got piano wire and also stainless steel wire, which won't rust. Okay, so that's if you're making them yourself. And of course we've got the commercially produced ones, and the advantage of these is that they're all set up and ready to go. We've got the spring one here with the coil grip, and that just slides on. This one here you'll need to use your heat shrink to attach it. But of course the advantage is that you've got the U shape there that can be used to adjust the length of the rod. Okay, so that's just a very quick overview on control linkages.